Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' online MBA panel with ESMT Berlin. I'm your host, Christy Bleisepfer with Poets and Quants, and please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit any questions for our panelists. I'll do my best to get to those at the end of the session. I want to welcome our guests today and thank you all for taking the time. Let's start with introductions. Would each of you just kind of take a second to tell us your name, title, and a bit about yourself? And Rebecca, we'll start with you.
Thank you ever so much, Christy. It's lovely to miss you today, and also for everyone who is joining us online. So my name is Rebecca Lodes, and I am responsible for ESMT Berlin's portfolio of MBA programs, of which I think that the Global Online MBA is probably the youngest kid on the block. I've been at the school for just over 2 years. Anyone who's heard me speak knows that I have a real passion for education and MBA education, and it's been an absolute delight and honor to launch the Global Online MBA and also to see how it's developed and how we get fantastic students like Daniela. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Rebecca. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here today and to talk a little bit about the Global Online MBA at ESMT. My name is Daniela Ivanova. I'm Global Growth Director at a huge tech company, international one. My experience is more than 11 years in marketing, sales, business development, startups, and now I'm also a student at ESMT Berlin, and it's actually my final year, so I'm excited to share the experience that I've had so far at the MBA. Yeah.
Thank you both for those really informative introductions. We're just going to dive right in. Rebecca, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Online MBA at ESMT Berlin, how long it's been around, how long does it generally take to complete, the level of flexibility, that kind of thing.
Perfect. So the program itself launched in 2021, so 2 years old this year, and it's a 2 to 5 year program, and that gives you kind of an inkling of some of the flexibility. However, I would say we have flexibility, but we're seeing a lot of our students are going all the way through as quickly as possible, despite the fact that it is an academically rigorous program, and so it does require a significant bit of work. So the program itself is modular in structure. We're actually comprised of six modules, and these modules have been structured so that our students are able to get a diverse perspective or a holistic perspective on a key business issue. And obviously, you're doing the Global Online MBA, you're balancing study and work. So it's fundamentally important that what you're studying, you're able to apply to what you're doing. And if we only gave you a monodirectional view or a kind of like a single perspective on an issue, that wouldn't necessarily give you what you need to start making change and start implementing things in your workplace. Now, there is flexibility in the terms of, yes, you can decide, will I do the next module, will I not? However, and this is something just to make clear, is once you've started a module, you kind of have to see it through to the end. There's a little bit of grace at the beginning, but it's fundamentally important because you'll have 3 courses and you are studying with other people. There's a lot of group work in the program as well. Studying online does not mean that you are studying alone by any stretch of the imagination. And so therefore, there is an element of coordination and also synthesis with your group. And then we conclude the degree itself with a final project, and this is your effectively you will be ideally doing this for your employer, and it's a fantastic way that you can demonstrate how your perspective, how your knowledge has changed and shifted over the course of the program. So they've seen your perspective go as you've been working, but then this final project, you can help them solve a real world problem. And at the end, when you graduate, when Daniela graduates, you'll be receiving an MBA, ESMT Berlin MBA, no mention of the format, triple accredited, globally recognized. I think it's a fantastic program. I absolutely love it. I adore our Global Online MBA students. I think the kind of, because this is a fully online program, they could come to Berlin if they wish to, but also you can stay well away should you wish. And so I think that it kind of like that motivation, that dedication, that drive and organization is really strong in our online MBA students.
Yeah, so are you getting a lot of international candidates then with this online format?
I would say, okay, so there is a lovely German answer, which is Jein. Which is a yes and no combined. And so we have a highly international program. So we have more than 50 nationalities within the program. What we're finding is around a third of them to a half are in Germany, but they're typically non-German nationals. And I think really kind of where the appeal there is obviously, you know, often a lot of schools, not just ESMT, you tend to find that even your part-time or online programs, you attract a lot of local talent. And that's really because they know, you know, their employers, their local context knows your brand name, knows who your degree is. And so they're also seeing benefit. And obviously we are a program, everything is in English. Every single part of the program is in English. So therefore there's always that sense of, okay, we know that we'll be studying alongside people from around the world. Yeah. That said, I think we've pretty much got most of the continents covered. We definitely have kind of like diagonal, you know, opposites, you know, from the west coast of Canada through to the kind of like the south coast of Australia. So it does that also. But being very honest, that does add an additional level of complexity when you're trying to schedule a group call, say between people who are spanning 3 continents. But that's also reflecting the world that we're working in today. So I think it's kind of, there is a fantastic, the upside most definitely outweighs the downside.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one more question before we move on to Daniela. What would you say is the key differentiator of the program?
I think our structure, so really the fact that we are structured around helping you address specific issues, because I think that helps really contextualize and takes, you know, an MBA is an academic degree. Yes, it's rooted in practice and it's rooted in foundation, but it also needs to have a strong, you know, we're in Germany, there needs to be that strong academic and that theoretical basis. So therefore, really trying to find ways in which to put that into practice, yes. We also have at ESMT, there are 3 pillars at the school. Our strengths are analytics, innovation, and leadership, and that is echoed through the program itself. So therefore, I think that these 2 combined, coupled with, I think we have world-class, fantastic faculty who really care and are really approachable, a phenomenal program management team, the institution itself and the other students. What sets ESMT apart is that genuine sense of community and the real commitment that our students have to their own learning and also helping each other learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Daniela, tell us about what led you to pursue an online MBA and how you ultimately chose ESMT Berlin.
Great question. Actually, I did think about what kind of MBA to do for a while. Actually, it took me, I think, around 2 years until the moment I actually decided, all right, now's the time, you know, I'm ready. I did my research, I explored all of my opportunities, and I really wanted to do something that was international. Actually, I am based in Sofia in Bulgaria. My work experience and studying experience has been in various countries across the world, so I really wanted to have something international. This was a very important aspect to me. The other thing is that because I'm working full-time, you know, I have my team, have my responsibilities at work, you know, it's pretty busy. So it couldn't have been an MBA in person. So I couldn't have afforded, you know, to go to campus. It's just impossible with this workload. And I was looking for something that is very flexible, something that would allow me to, you know, learn and at the same time be able to implement whatever I'm learning straight into work. Because in the end of the day, I'm looking into improving my skills and my career development. And so when I was doing my research, I did look into a couple of universities at the end. But what ESMT really stand out for me was, first of all, it's a school in top 10 global business schools in terms of the you know, quality of education that is giving. And at the same time, it is pretty affordable when it comes to the global online MBA. So for me, these 2 things combined really were giving me, you know, the impression, the kind of thing that I was looking for. And, you know, this was actually combined in the end of the day with the fact that the program does offer some time in Berlin and some time in an international setting outside of Berlin. This for me was pretty important because I wanted to have more of that international experience. I was really looking forward to it. Actually, in fact, some of the other schools that I was looking into at the end, I decided I don't want to pursue an MBA there because it was not international enough for me. So I think exactly what Rebecca was saying, even though a third maybe of the people are based in Germany. Actually, these are people coming from very different backgrounds, both professionally, also in terms of origin, in terms of, how they traveled, where they ended up. So these were the things that I was looking really forward to. And at the end, actually, this is how it happened. So, when I started studying, these were the things that actually did come, to life with the program.
Yeah. Well, what was the learning experience like? Course load, kind of group work versus individual, and interacting with professors and students.
So, there is skin in the game. I just mentioned that even, when we were chatting right before the recording. The workload is heavy. You have to be prepared to put in definitely more than 10 hours per week into that. This is with the caveat, of course, that, certain areas, certain topics might be more important to you or more interesting to you and more important to your work than, some other things that you're going through. I think the most important part is that you do get an overall, 360 overview of how a business is run, what is happening at the executive level, what is happening in different functions within the company. This is very important and rewarding in terms of the understanding that you're gaining and when that you're putting back into work afterwards. In terms of group work and individual work, I would say that is 60 to 40 in favor of the group work. So there is a lot of group work that's going on, and this is amazing, by the way, because technically, if you're falling short somewhere, or, you have a very busy week at work, or you have to travel for work, something happens with your family, I don't know, there's always somebody in the group that's going to help out. You guys going to compensate. You're going to discuss between each other how you're going to work that stuff out. And this has been perfect. The studies are focused a lot on case studies. So we're doing a lot of case studies. I think that's also my favorite part of the entire learning experience, because we're given a case study where we have to figure out together with the group, we have to sit together and solve a problem that we're given. And some of these case studies, I admit that they're definitely going to stay with me for life because the experience was really, really interesting and important and very practical. So I guess, the important thing is negotiate at home, negotiate at work. It's doable. Just make sure you're ready to put in the effort. And I think what also Rebecca mentioned earlier, it is important to try to stay with your group, with your module, to keep on the momentum because, things are coming together from the different modules and the different courses that in the end really start to make sense. For me, this is my last module starting now, and all these things come together and start to make really a lot of sense, just professionally. The professors are very responsive, very approachable. I think within 24 hours, you're always getting a response on any question that you have. Everything's happening online. It's very fast. If you need a quick call with a tutor, that's also, possible. I think it's 10 out of 10.
Yeah, great. Do you feel like you've created some relationships that will kind of last beyond the program?
That is my favorite question of all. I can assure you that, and I did not expect that, by the way, when I started, but actually the first group that I had in this MBA, this is the group to this day that every day we're chatting in this group, online, everything, also beyond the MBA. Actually, we created such strong bonds during the Berlin week experience. We also did a 1 week experience in South Africa, which was amazing. And it's not only, the adventures they were going through, but it's also having these great minds put together, going through these international experiences together, discussing different topics, coming up with ideas on how to solve various issues, which is also something that happened to us in South Africa, where we were presented with some real issues there that we had to solve with the Cape Town University, which was a great experience. So this created very strong bonds between the people in the various groups that I've been working with, and I'm really happy with that. I can feel that these are going to be friendships and connections for life. Yeah.
Well, that leads great into our next question then for Rebecca. How would you say the online program replicates the networking, mentorship, career development opportunities that are, kind of front and center of the in-person MBA?
I think thinking about, what do you get from an in-person or what do you get from online? Okay, first of all, you have to look at who your classmates are. So we have rigorous application and admission standards. So therefore, we ensure that the caliber of our global online MBA students is the same as the caliber as our full-time, as our part-time, as our executive. And we also try and bring them together. So sometimes, obviously, it's fantastic when we have people coming to campus. For instance, we actually have a Berlin Experience Week this week. So we have welcomed a new set of global online students to campus yesterday. And we have a networking event tomorrow evening with the full-time, with the part-time MBAs, as well as them, so they can build up their network. So firstly, it's kind of within the ESMT community. It's then also our faculty do bring in external lecturers, so there are the opportunities to get that external voice in. And you also have obviously access to all of the resources that you have at the school. You're an online student, but you're still an ESMT student. So therefore, all of our events, we have TEDx here. We've got Berlin Global Dialogue later this year. We have the Digital Future Summit. These are things which all of our online students or anyone who is not located in Berlin, they can actually join in virtually. And I think when I think about kind of one of the fantastic silver linings to the COVID cloud, it's really this ability to really more closely integrate and build stronger relationships with people that are not necessarily where you are. Mm-hmm. We have career development services. So we have that our global online MBA students can join services. We're doing more work in terms of increasing the offer and trying to be more proactive and trying to add more to it. So therefore that's definitely a work in progress. And then what else in terms of, I think so those are the main things. And also, as Daniela just mentioned, in terms of if you're bringing in that external perspective, it's not just from people, but it's obviously having something, a curriculum which is based in cases, in practice, so you can actually learn from as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how do you see technology and innovation kind of changing the business landscape, and what do you think the implications are for the next generation of business leader?
I think I was having a conversation with one of our faculty members about quantum computing. And we're like, it's another big thing that's coming on the horizon. So how is this? If you look at the thing, artificial intelligence, the natural language processing engines, all of these things and all of these challenges are the ones that the business leaders of the future will be wrestling with. How do we adapt our business? How do we create a truly digital business? I think digital transformation is a term that's bandied around, and a lot of people say, well, it's passé, but I look at organizations across Germany and across Europe, and it's like there's still a huge amount of scope for improvement. So really, for me, this is something where there are fundamental changes and shifts that will really give huge competitive advantage to those that seize them. And so therefore our responsibility is how can we ensure that business leaders that we are working with, that we are part of their journey, are able to take advantage of that. And that's really where you have the analytics, innovation, leadership in what ESMT does. But also we don't just look at how we can help our students and our graduates to actually adapt to it, but it's also we are applying that lens to ourselves. Yeah. So therefore we are looking at, okay, what about VR? How can we integrate that in? What about AI? How can we use that to really increase the learning experience with our students, but we don't want to lose the personal touch. So it's how can you get AI and systems like that to get rid of some of the dross work, so that when we are having these human-to-human connections, we are creating greater value. And I think those challenges are not unique to ESMT or a business school. I think they're also what really is driving business. And then one kind of final comment on that is that to survive in that kind of, changing and uncertain environment, there's a case of like, how can we help you hone your critical thinking skills? And I think that's we're going back to, in certain sense, the rise of soft skills, because if you think about the machines are able to actually take over some of the tasks which actually are not necessarily really leveraging the capabilities we bring. And so therefore, how can we make certain that we are educating and helping people who will ask good questions and find good answers and think about things critically and really strive to, I think MIT say it's not about creating superhumans, it's about how to make humans super.
Yeah, I think it just lends to the point that lifelong learning now and keeping up with all of this is going to be more important than ever, for sure. Well, Daniela, back to you. What kind of impact would you say that the program has had for your current role so far?
So I think one of the most important things that came out of the past year and a half is that, for me, I'm understanding much better how the executive team at my company is ticking, what are the different aspects of the business that they're looking after. And it prompted me to start thinking about how I can actually create value for all or various stakeholders within the company and profitably so. So really thinking about the business as a whole, probably also as something that me, myself in the future, I would like to see in my own business. So something that is really inspiring me today to think about, what are really, all of these aspects that I have to consider once, I want to have my own thing maybe in the future, but really testing it today at my current role. The other thing is a very strong emphasis on leadership that is part of the modules that we've been doing so far. And I've been working a lot on actually empowering my team to actually deliver on targets, to deliver on, over organizational culture values that the company is sharing. Because, the environment that we're working into nowadays, it's so volatile. It's such a VUCA world, everything is changing all the time. So I've been focusing much more on actually empowering my team, making sure that, they can grow within their roles as well. They can bring the best, they can to the business in the end of the day, be much less executional and much more focused on the bigger picture. So this is something that, the MBA kept on, bringing back to me and reminding me that in the end of the day, I'm personally, maybe other people as well in the MBA, but I personally am striving for, a leadership position, a senior management position where there's certain aspects of that that have to be considered. And the MBA is definitely helping me out with that, to do it with confidence. So, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Well, if you had to narrow kind of it down to three highlight experiences, what would you say they are?
Quality of education, the quality of the educators, so the professors and the tutors, for sure, very accessible all the time, extremely, intelligent people, inspirational individuals. The international experience is the second one. So the experience that we got to have in Berlin, in South Africa, maybe next year it will be Mexico or somewhere else, I'm not sure. But what I got from Germany and South Africa was really amazing. And the third one is definitely the people, the amazing people that I've met, throughout this journey. Such an amazing class of smart individuals, a very inspiring environment. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think you said earlier before the recording that you were kind of getting ready to be done, or how long did it take you to complete the program?
So it's been a little bit over a year from me right now. So altogether, it's 2 years. The program is 2 years. In fact, if for me personally, because I took some of the international experiences weeks, they got me a few credits earlier on. So technically right now, I'll be done within almost a year and a half. So
wow.
Technically, I'll have just my final project done probably at the beginning of the next year. And this will be it. So it's almost less than 2 years. So I think, you could fast track it a little bit if you are like really motivated. Yeah.
Really ambitious.
Yeah.
Rebecca, how do you see the online MBA kind of evolving over the next 3 to 5 years, kind of generally and at ESMT Berlin?
I think for me, what I would like to see in terms of the direction we're taking the program in is how can we create experiences online in a digital world you can't replicate in person? Because that is how we really turn online education or digitally mediated education into something that is different and unique. Because I think if you look at how, look at the origin story of an online program, a lot of the ones that you see that have been around for a long time were distance learning. So, they sent things via post or they sent a video, and we've kind of moved on. And I think that there is a lot that's changed, but there's also so much potential. So how can we grab that? There's obviously the integration of AI. So how can we use it to enhance and support the learning journey and give students personalized support in learning? Because obviously, yes, we have really phenomenal faculty. We are not cloned. We can't manage to clone them. So unfortunately, we are kind of like up against a certain a limit there. So how can we use technology in a way that's intelligent and that makes sense and supports people? I mentioned kind of like, are there also other ways in which we can, at the moment, the cost of a VR headset is prohibitively expensive, but we've seen, technology by its very nature, I think every single time comes down and down and down. So, okay, does that open up new possibilities that we can leverage? At the moment, we're hesitant because we do literally have students all over. And so therefore shipping, we found we tried to ship welcome gifts to, say, some of our students in Ghana or Rwanda and struggled a bit, or maybe in kind of Colombia. So therefore it's okay. So if we're going to struggle with a mug, we're probably going to struggle with a VR headset. So these are some things as well. And I think then the kind of the last bit, and this is something that we are thinking seriously or very kind of deeply about at the school. And I think this is something you mentioned, Christy, around the role of lifelong learning and how can we extend, because we don't want our relationship with students like Daniela just to be for a fixed 18 months or 2 years. It's really how can we become a partner and how can we help our students continually evolve and develop and upskill or maybe have bite-sized learning. So that opportunity is something that we're also looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, finally, why don't you just kind of tell everybody the best way to get in touch with the school and learn more?
Yeah, easiest is admissions@esmt.org. If you go onto our website, which is imaginatively named ESMT.Berlin, so therefore that's a very, very easy URL. I would recommend anyone who is interested or thinking about the program to speak to one of our admissions folks. You can book a consultation. They are really helpful. They will be able to give you a lot of insight. We can also mediate and get you kind of introduced to alumni or other students who maybe are similar to you or helping you understand if this is the right choice. Because the application to any business school, it's mutual. We're evaluating mutual fit. So this is not just about Daniela applying to us and go, yes, come here. It's also about us making certain that we can help Daniela achieve what she wants and also that she will thrive and survive in the program. And I think that that's something that is really important for any student out there or candidate who's thinking about a program, is go on some business school dates, talk to the admissions folks and learn more about them to find out what is the right one for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. Well, thank you both for your time and these very valuable insights into the online MBA at ESMT Berlin. And thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. And remember that we have a lot more of these webinars with different schools on our YouTube channel. So keep an eye out for those. And as always, thank you until next time. Bye-bye.